You hear business gurus telling you all the time, it's good for you to be brave. But what if they're wrong? What if being brave isn't enough? Today we are going to talk about how to take brave action, which is the follow-up to actually being brave. Let's dive in. So how I learned to take brave action when I really wanted to run and hide. As a lot of you know, I've struggled with social anxiety for my whole life. I've struggled with general anxiety as well. And the truth is that it wasn't until I thought about the process in reverse that I started being able to take brave action. And this is something that really annoys my kids because I ask them this question all the time. But it's a game I play with myself where I'm like, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? Have you ever thought about that? You're like, oh gosh, I need to email this person who said they wanted to hire me. I'm nervous though. What if they say now that it's too late? Okay, what's the worst thing that can happen in that scenario? They say, no, I don't want to work with you right now. And you're like, okay, and you go on with the rest of your life. That's the worst thing that can happen. But that is not the only thing that can happen. Also, they could say, yes, I was just thinking about you. I'm ready for you now. Or I am so excited to work with you. Please email me again in 2 weeks. That is amazing. Both of those results are amazing. And also, you know what? The no is amazing because it means that you acted bravely. I uncovered the secrets business professionals use to act bravely even when it's hard. So you've asked yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? Now you need to understand the secret formula for how business professionals actually act bravely even when it's hard. So they don't think about just today. They think about tomorrow's person. They think about themselves in 10 years. Listen, let me put it in personal terms because otherwise this is going to get real confusing and I never want you to be confused. If Kristin 10 years from now looks back and is like, oh man, that Kristin was pretty scared. Yes, she tried to be brave, but she didn't act bravely. And now I'm not where I wanted to be. Is that Kristin going to be bummed out? Yes. Is she going to give past Kristin grace? Also, yes. But I want to help my future self. When I went on my trip to Greece a few weeks ago, I actually forgot that there was something I did. And I came back and I was like, okay, it's time to write that VSL. And then I looked in my Google folder and I was like, oh, it's already there. I already wrote it. And I was like, thank you, past Kristin. And it was such a good feeling that she took care of me. So that was one thing that I didn't have to do on my to-do list. So think about it from that perspective. What would help the future you actually accomplish the goals that you have? Do you want to grow your business by facing your fears? Here's how I'm doing it. I'm making this video right now. I'm actively searching for a salesperson to onboard to my team. That's terrifying. I just had a meeting with a potential one right now, and they asked for a commission percentage that was insane. And I was like, no, I don't want to. And we negotiated, right? But that's the thing is you need to take action. Maybe you're nervous to hop on a call like that, like I was, but I still needed to have it. I still need help. I only have so much time during the day. I need to spend money to get more time. And that's what I'm doing. So if you're afraid, try to think of just one small thing you can do next. For me, it was hopping on that call. For you, maybe it would be emailing someone who seemed interested in your product, or it would be writing that email out to your list. So that's how you do it, one small step at a time. And you don't try to burden yourself with the weight of these are all the different things you have to do and you better do them now. Just pick the next one brave action that you can take. The thing every business owner needs to know about being brave and acting bravely to get results. All right, so you know that I've already given you some steps, but what's one thing you need to know about getting those results by acting bravely? You're going to mess up, and that's okay. That's the key right there. Yes, we all make mistakes. We're humans and we're so messy. We're just messy creatures, right? With all of our emotions and the things we do, the things we don't do. But I want you to know that it's okay to make mistakes because guess what? You're going to be so much more free to take brave action when you play the game. What's the worst thing that can happen? And me making a mistake. Guess what? That is an opportunity for you to learn. All right, next. Are you looking for help taking brave action? You know your business needs for growth. This is for you. You don't have to do it alone. You can find help. You can, you go listen to my podcast, jump on my complimentary masterclass, right? Talk to your business friends, join a business networking group so you have business friends. If you tell someone, this is what I want to do, and you're still feeling nervous, you can be like, hey, help me be brave right now. Tell me something that will help me be brave in this moment so that I can take this action. Like, I have friends that I text and like, I'm doing something scary right now. And they're like, what? And I'll tell them and be like, yes, do it. Go for it. You don't need to do this all on your own. And if you try to, you're going to have those moments where you're not able to act bravely because we all need support. We all need that system. You need people who are telling you, I believe in you. I know that's how I end every single thing that I have, every piece of content, but because I know I need to hear it, that's why I say it. Okay, how I quickly, easily face terrifying goals. I break them down into pieces because my brain gets less overwhelmed that way. Although I have trained my brain to realize that risk is good because the potential is so high. But I break things down into lists, and you don't have to be fancy. I use a Google Doc. I create little checklists like we need this step, then this step, then this step, then this step. Even the things that are really simple, like write this email, everything goes on the list and it's out of my brain. And that way I know, okay, today I took 3 tiny steps to facing this terrifying goal. And guess what? By the time I'm done going through my list and checking off everything, that goal doesn't feel so terrifying anymore because I know I've done everything I can to start trying. Am I going to make mistakes? Yes, but I have that foundation and I can always make adjustments. That's another thing about making mistakes is that you can always adjust. You're free to adjust. When I wanted to do things out of my comfort zone, I use these tips. Number 1, I tell someone that I love who's going to make me do it. Accountability is so important. Number 2, I learn something, not everything, about the thing I'm trying to do. I used to go to where I'd be like, I'm going to learn everything about this topic. And then I would never take brave action because I felt satisfied in learning, but that wasn't actually getting me any results. So tell someone, learn something, not everything about that thing. And the last thing I do when I want to get out of my comfort zone, I do a reset. So I'll go somewhere that's not my house, that's not my office, and I will go for a walk, or I will go for a swim, or I will go out and sit in a bookstore and read an entire book. I do a reset where I'm like not actively doing the business things that I would normally take part in, and I let my brain relax. Because I'm much more likely to come in fresh, which means I'm more likely to get through my list, right? When I do that reset, it can be for a day, it can be for an hour, but that's one of the things that helps me so much. For people who want to know how to stop letting anxiety dictate what you try, this is where I learned to start. So I actually went out and got professional help with my anxiety. I was like, I was talking to someone about how I reached my professional breaking point, and they were like, hey, do you want to work with me? And I was like, yes. Do you have like a list of things I need to do? Because someone had suggested that. They're like, I'm going to help you and I'll give you a list. I'm like, I don't need a list of more things to do. I'm already exhausted. I just need someone to work with me in that moment. And this person offered to do it and I did it and it was amazing. And then I did Shirzad, his positive intelligence course, which is amazing. And he gives away scholarships for it. If you go to positiveintelligence.com, you can get a scholarship if you're in some type of coaching field. And so I learned to tell my judge, as he calls it, to be quiet. And my judge particularly tells me that I'm not smart enough. And that, I found out, is the root of all of my anxiety, that I won't be smart enough to follow through on something. So why even start? And my brain's like swirling and whirling and telling me don't do this. And then there were panic attacks too. And I don't have those crazy panic attacks anymore. And I definitely don't have them as often as I was having them like 20 times a day. Now I probably have like one every 20 days, which to me is a huge victory. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do. If you're anxious and it's keeping you from doing the things you know you need to do from taking brave action, go out and get some help. If you want to message me personally, I'll recommend someone to you, or I have someones I can recommend to you depending on what you're willing to try. But also be open to realizing that solving your anxiety or being more in control of your anxiety, which is hilarious because the problem with anxiety is that we want to control everything, right? But not letting your anxiety control you, I should say, can take you on a different path than what you thought. So I would just open yourself up to that. I'm glad I did. It was extremely beneficial. All right. Is it worth trying to pitch people who feel out of my league what I have learned over the last 6 months? The truth is, the only way that someone would be out of your league is if you think they are, right? Depending on what your skill set is, you can help most people just because you're an outside person. Your voice doesn't live in their head and you're not confined by the ideas and experience that they have. So you can look at things from a different perspective, literally, no matter what you do. Are there certain skills that you need to do certain jobs? Yes, like I'm not going to go try to be an engineer. If you need an engineer, I'm going to refer you to Amelia. And that's her wheelhouse, and she says words I don't understand when we're talking about engineering, and it's cool. So I'm not going to go for those things. Does that mean that the people that she's working with are out of my league? If I try to marry myself to a skill set I have no experience with, then yes. But as humans, no. So, all you're getting when you get in front of someone is information. And maybe the information that you're finding is, I'm not going to be a good fit to help them because of my limited skill set. That's still good information for them and for you. So just take the brave action by doing all of the other things that we've been talking about and be willing to say this isn't a good fit because I don't know this or because you don't value this thing that I'm bringing to the table. So yes, you get in front of the people, talk to the people. You are amazing. They're not out of your league. Maybe the skill sets and needs don't match up, but that's a totally different thing than you being out of someone's league. I mean, them being out of your league. You know what I mean. Okay, 2 secrets I learned about how to face my doubt-filled inner voice you won't find anywhere else. So my inner voice can be just the worst. Not okay. And that's one of the reasons why I needed all that help with working through my anxiety, because my inner voice was like, you're not even smart enough to figure out this anxiety thing, which is spiraling your life out of control. And so, I was listening to that voice for too long. But the 2 secrets I would say for facing that doubt-filled inner voice is, number 1, being honest about reality. Your brain will try to say, you can control everything. Freaking out does help. Losing your cool is productive. No, it's not. You can tell your brain to be quiet. You can go paint a picture. You can go play the guitar. Whatever you need to get that voice to quiet down. For me now, I have like these, 2-minute, 5-minute, 15-minute tricks. Not tricks, but like routines that I do to help me get that voice to quiet down. One of them is I found this gorgeous rock. Let me see if it's going to focus on it for you. Yeah, there we go. I found this gorgeous rock on an island in Greece on Skiros. And I was like, this is beautiful, like the black and white. And so I'll just sit there and I rub on this rock, which is polished by the GNC. And for a minute or 2 minutes, and I just feel this calm, relaxing emotion, and my brain quiets down because it has the tactile stimulation. So you can do these things too if you're honest with yourself about how much your brain is actually telling you the truth. Another secret I would say about facing my doubt-filled inner voice is that I needed to tell other people what my voice was saying. And that's so scary. And that's why I think people don't talk about it is, we're like, we need to seem professional. We need to seem like we have everything together. But you know what? Even with my clients, I'll be like, oh, I had a really hard day today. I had my inner voice telling me this. And they're like, oh yeah, that's hard. That's happened to me too. And I'm so glad you're here, and we're talking and we're doing amazing things with each other. And so that is one of the things I would say is, for the safe people in your life, tell them what your inner voice is saying, because it's a liar. It can lie. It can also tell you the truth. Like if it's like, you look really good today. That's true. You should listen to that. How I learned not to just be brave, but act bravely, and how you can too. The truth is, I have failed at a lot of things, and people get so upset when I say that. They're like, Kristin, you're not a failure. I'm not saying I'm a failure. I'm saying I have tried a lot of things with certain outcomes in mind, and those outcomes did not come true. And to me, that's how I define failure. And it's not a bad thing. In my head, failure doesn't live as this negative, giant beast that's traipsing and smashing all my dreams. Failure is an opportunity for me to learn. So if something doesn't work out, I take brave action. The expectation for what the outcomes are don't come true. Do you know what I do? I take the next brave action. I have a list of brave actions in my head that I know I need to take. And when one doesn't work out, another one pops up. And guess what? If I run out of things to do on that list, I go and talk to my friends who will give me amazing advice. That is why it is so important to have a great support system. And especially if you're in business, you need other business people, because they're going to give you amazing ideas when your list of brave actions is running low. All right. And you can do this. You've got this. The best way to face your professional fear without feeling like a failure. Hilarious that I just talked about failure. Now we're talking more about it. So the best way for you to face your professional fear without feeling like a failure is to realize that you are a finite being. Your brain can only hold so much stuff. You can only learn so many things, and you are not going to be able to master everything. And in fact, that's a horrible goal for you. And I don't have that goal for myself, and I'm willing to fail more often and fail faster now. So in your professional world, if you want to face those fears, you need to call them out. You need to write them down. You need to vocalize them, and then do what you wanted to do in spite of those fears, in the face of those fears. Find that bravery and then act on it, knowing that, hey, what's the worst thing that can happen? And when I fail, I'll learn something really cool. I'm going to learn something way more valuable than if I succeeded. I am so glad that I didn't succeed with like my first, I don't know, there's been so many business plans and iterations and all that stuff now. I'm so glad I didn't succeed, because I have learned so much. And now the value that I can bring to other people is built in on top of all that knowledge that I got from failing, from not succeeding. So know what the fears are, act anyway, have your support system come around you and huddle around you and be like, yes, we're rooting for you, because that feels so good. Stop trying to make every brave action a make or break moment. This one is so good. Start training your brain to like risk. All right? Okay. So everything you do does not determine your permanent destiny. You can always adjust. That's why resiliency is such a huge and popular topic right now, is because if something goes wrong, guess what? You don't have to stop. You don't have to get stuck. You don't have to go beat yourself up or be super sad. You can say, okay, what did I learn from this? The worst thing that could happen was this. That happened. Now I can take the next brave step. But the reason that we don't like doing that is because our brains protest. Our brains get so upset. They will be like, no, don't do this. It's hard. And it was so weird for me when I traveled last, because I went to a place where I had lived for a long time when I had super high anxiety, and even the most simple things would freak me out. And when I was in that place again, my brain was like, remember when we're here in this place, we panic over little things. And I was like, wait a minute. No, we don't panic over little things anymore. You need to remember that we've changed, brain. We've made decisions. We've done things that have helped us not panic over small things like having to go into the donut shop. Don't ask me why. That would make me so panicky. That used to make me super panicky. So if you start training your brain to like risk by increasing your risk over time, then you will not run into those situations where you freeze. Or like I did, where I ran into it and my brain's like, no, we can't do this. I was like, no, yes, we can. We have. and we're going to do it right now. And that's all. That was it. It was that one moment of kicking my brain back into the, yes, risk is good. In this case, risk is going to be the donut. So, I'm not saying that everyone should eat donuts if you don't like donuts or they're not good for you, whatever, but think about what the risk means. Help your brain see that it's actually a good thing. How I learned to take action, brave action, to finally see the personal growth I wanted. So I am sitting here in front of you, talking to you with lights and a camera and a microphone and things that would have totally made me panic just a few years ago because I was like, just let me practice. Practicing is taking brave action, and don't let anyone tell you differently. And people are like, well, perfect practice makes perfect. That saying doesn't make any sense because the whole point of practicing is that you don't already know how to do it perfectly. So yes, should we get into good habits? Absolutely. But if we're looking at that just on a language basis, perfect practice makes perfect. First of all, there's redundancy there, but also it doesn't make any sense. So be willing to practice, which means that you are willing to take brave action. You've got this. You can be the person you've wanted to be. I am a bold soul now, or I wouldn't be in front of you. And past Kristin did not know how to do that. The way that she got to where I am now is by taking those brave steps, that brave action. You've got this. How I grew my discomfort tolerance. I love this one. The no fluff version. Okay, so how I grew my discomfort tolerance was I was willing to be miserably uncomfortable. I was like, okay, Kristin, how can we get out of this? The truth is you just have to be willing to go through it, to try it, right? Like now at this point, I'm like, talking about getting my scuba certification, which I was nervous about for years. My husband has always wanted to go to the Great Barrier Reef with me. He went with his dad. It was amazing. He wants me to see it. And last week he was like, what do you think? Are we still like no on the scuba certification? And I was like, you know what? I think now with my anxiety not under control, but it's much more manageable because I can't control my anxiety, right? My anxiety is trying to control me. I was like, you know what? I'm willing to be uncomfortable to see if it would work out. And he was so excited and so happy. And if he had asked me that, 2 years ago, I probably would have gotten mad at him because I would have been like, I don't want to do this. But being willing to be uncomfortable is something that you can work into gradually, or you can just like plunge your way into it and say, I'm going to do something that makes me nervous. I'm going to do something that normally I haven't liked before. And while I'm doing it, I'm going to look at it as an opportunity to learn something new about myself. So I want you to know that you are amazing. Your business story matters. I believe in you. And if you want help, please, with your business, with taking brave action, reach out to me. Let's chat. I'm here for you.